I'm Sheila Balgobin, known as the Dream Decipherer, and this is Dream Your Life, Live Your Dream Live, where we talk about all things dreams. Now, I have to preface my live today with the advice that it may be a bit noisy. There's a family enjoying the pool today in front of me, so you may hear a bit of noise, a bit of children screaming, etc. But today I'm going to be talking about the cultural and historical perspectives around dreams. And we'll be looking at things like culture and religion and how different peoples over different ages perceived dreams or worked with them or had what beliefs they had around them. So we all know that dreaming is a universal human experience, and in fact, a mammal experience because mammals dream as well. And if you have a cat or dog, you know that. You'll see cats hissing in their sleep or dogs barking or digging for something in their sleep. But, excuse me. But the process of dreaming cuts across all cultures and all physical boundaries. And psychologically, we're actually all connected. And the proof of that is that, excuse me, people may, wow, excuse me, people may have dreams that where they're speaking in languages they've never learned or never heard. They may dream of places they've never been. And the reason for that is that, as I said, psychically, we are all connected across time and space. So Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung termed this common psychological strata as the collective unconscious, and so that the symbols of all cultures across time and space are accessible to all of us given the right circumstances. Now, if you look at the sciences, the human sciences, psychologists and anthropologists all actually share a lot of common ground when it comes to studying dreams. Dreaming images clearly come from us and are about us, and it emerges from our brain, the mind, and personal experiences of each person. But that's not all that dreams are composed of. Dreams will also be composed of the individual's cultural and religious environment, and in terms of language, in terms of customs, concepts, etc., all come into play when it comes to dreams. So in order to be able to understand dreams properly, you have to understand the context in which they take place. Now, what's interesting about dreams is that during times of great change or crisis, and that could be global or local crises, dreams become a very powerful source of insight into this dynamic interplay of psyche, culture, religions, etc. For example, before the pandemic hit, my clients were dreaming about bugs, infestations. They were dreaming about China, or they were dreaming about Asia, etc. So that energy, that collective energy, was being picked up from people across the planet, because my clients are all over the place, but they were all picked up some aspect of the pandemic before it actually hit. So what happens when I actually work with clients around their dreams is that when necessary, I do additional research. I look at their culture, their language, what customs they may have, if they're religious, how religion may impact their lives. And because to be able to really be able to understand and decipher a dream, you have to understand the context in which the dream occurs. And that means understanding where the person comes from and where they are at that particular time. But we're going to look at the dreams in terms of ancient cultures and more modern day cultures, and see, and even a bit in terms of religion, to see how people have perceived dreams and how they work with them or not over the time, over centuries, thousands of years even. So first we're going to take a look at the ancient world and how they looked at dreams. And in the Far East, in various Far Eastern cultures, dreams were seen as messages from the divine or the subconscious mind, and therefore given great significance. They were believed to offer guidance, provide insight into past or future events, and reveal truths that were hidden. So they were considered a very valuable tool for self-reflection, growth, and personal development. Now, there were various, across the Far East, there were various perceptions around dreams. And again, it's all according to the particular culture and time frame, etc. For example, in Chinese culture, dreams were considered an important tool to communicate with spirits and the ancestors. The ancestral worship is something that is very strong in China, in particular, and dreams were thought to hold messages from the spiritual realms and would offer insight into one's future. The interpreting dreams were heavily influenced by various concepts in Chinese culture, such as yin and yang, the opposites, the five elements, and feng shui, the positioning of things in space to become as harmonious and to let energy flow freely as much as possible. So that Chinese dream interpreters often used analyzed dream symbols, colors, and emotions associated with the dream in order to be able to tease out what the dream was about. The Japanese have a similar view in that but they had a slightly different take. They believe that dreams reveal the person's inner desires, fears, and emotions, which is pretty similar to what modern day, if you will, interpreters of dreams such as Jung and Freud had believed. The Japanese believe that dreams play a crucial role in understanding our inner being and provide guidance for important life decisions. Now, the Japanese use their traditional folklore, mythology, and cultural symbols in order to be able to grasp the meaning of dreams. And dreams about specific animals or objects or natural elements in the environment also were used as part of the interpretation process. If we turn our attention to India, India has had a very long and ancient tradition of dream interpretation, which goes back to 4,000 or even 6,000 BCE. And their belief is that the dreams are connected to the spiritual and philosophical traditions of the country. In Indian culture, dreams are seen as a reflection of one's karma, one's fate. You know, what you do in this life will determine what happens to you in the next life. Past lives and our spiritual journey. And therefore, their dream interpretations included looking at religious texts such as the Vedas and Upanishads, and their understanding of dreams was that they were divine messages or visions to provide guidance, warnings, or insights into one's life path. If we go towards the Egypt and the Middle East, dream incubation was a widespread practice across Near Eastern civilizations, such as the Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Greek, and Hebrew traditions. But all of these traditions referred to some form of inviting the other world to collide with the waking world to provide prophetic dreams of some kind. The most common method of dream interpretation came from the Egyptians, who saw dreams as a means of divining what was going to happen in the future. The ancient Egyptians believed that dreams originated from the realm that exists between the land of the living and the land of the deities and the dead. And this belief actually impacted how they understood dreams and how they interpreted them. And in regard to that, the ancient Egyptians defined dreams into two categories. One, where dreams were straightforward and had clear prophecies, and the other one were obscure dreams, things that were not quite clear and not quite straightforward in terms of being able to understand them. And this practice really stretched right across the Middle East. And what would happen, they would do what was called dream incubation, or actually setting up the scene, if you will, to be able to have a dream. So generally, the format that it would follow is that a person might make a sacrifice or go on a fast or something like that to prepare themselves to be able to have this dream. Then they would sleep somewhere in the presence of the gods, perhaps a temple, in rooms that were specially designed to help with the dreaming process. One of the more famous places that dream incubation took place was the Delphi Oracle in ancient Greece, where the actual dreaming was done by the prophetess, the seer, who was the guardian of the oracle, or there were instances where the dreamer and the oracle would dream, and then they would combine the two dreams into an interpretation. On the other side of the planet, in Australia, ancient Australian Aboriginal mythology had its own attitudes and perspectives around dreams. According to them, dreams weren't just prophecies or messages, they were tools of creation. They called this time dream time, and dream time is all the time because they believe that we dream. The process of creation is the process of dreaming. We dream the world into existence, if you will. And that their belief is that the earth is actually a product of ancestors dreaming the world into being. This belief is not peculiar to the Aborigine people. In Native American tribes, such as the Hopi and Navajo people, will have their elders sit down and dream the world that their great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren will inherit. So it's a common theme across various cultures around the planet. But so in terms of Australia and the Aboriginal people, these cultures believe that their dreams were a means to witness the creation of the world and to perpetuate its renewal. So they believed that dreams connected everyone in the world, and so did not have very specific interpretations. So their interpreting of dreams was a more freewheeling kind of thing, because they believed that dreams were for the collective and not necessarily for the individual. Now, if we move away from that and look specifically at religion, we'll look at two today because there's as many religions as there are people. But two of the major religions we will look at is Christianity and the Muslim religion. And if we start with Christianity, you had ancient peoples like the Greco-Romans, the Byzantines, and Slavs who sought answers to life's dilemmas and dreams and dream interpretations through the Bible. And this phenomenon of dream interpretation was alluded to in many verses within the Bible. I mean, you think of Joseph interpreting for the Pharaoh, or Jacob dreaming of angels ascending and descending from heaven, Jacob's ladder. So there are many passages in the Bible that talk about dream interpretation. Sometimes they were considered to be literal in interpretation and sometimes more symbolic of something. But the Bible did not give unqualified, wholesale legitimacy to dreams. Some were considered to be legitimate, others were not. False dreams and false prophets, you could say. Now, Islam, on the other hand, the many empires such as the Ottomans and the Mughals relied on the Quran to interpret their dreams. Now, dreams in Islamic cultures were considered to be one of the ways that Allah, or God, communicated with humans. And it was considered to be a worshiper's duty to decipher and understand what those signs were in the dreams. But not all cultures that were influenced by Islam did recognize that not all dreams were in fact messages from God. There were three types of dreams that were to categorize the nature of dreams. The first being true dreams, which were considered legitimate divine messages from God. The second type was that a person was communicating with themselves, their personal psyche, if you will. And this reflected people's daytime thoughts and anxieties. In other words, it's just the blowing off of steam, if you will, or expressing concerns that people may have about their day-to-day lives. And then there were the third type, or category of dreams, that were malicious dreams. And these were provoked by shaitan, the devil. And they were meant to provoke people into committing sins and acting basically in unholy ways. But one thing, interestingly enough, is repetitive dreams, good or bad, were considered to be truthful, whatever the message was and whatever the content was, which is interesting because if you were having these malicious dreams, how do you square that circle? But that's another story for another day. Now, I thought it would be interesting to look at some studies that were conducted in 3 different countries over a period of time and see what university students, were dreaming about. There were studies that were conducted in China, Germany, and Canada between 2003 and 2008. And what was interesting is despite the different cultures and the distance between the cultures, their students were actually dreaming about similar things. And although the order of ranking may have been different in these different countries, among the top 10 dreams that were reported by students were schools, teachers, and studying, which was to be expected, being chased or pursued, falling. I'm not sure, it may be falling in terms of falling short of expectations, perhaps. Arriving too late, maybe for an exam, maybe missing a train to go home on holiday, who knows, but arriving late. Failing an exam, which you can understand why that would come up. Seeing a person who was presently alive as being dead, something that has died, maybe a relationship. Another was trying again and again and again to do something. That if you don't succeed, try again. That may be referring to failing exams. Flying or soaring through the air. And that's a very common dream across every single culture, particularly with children, having that sensation of being able to fly. Being frozen with fright, paralyzed with fear. And that may be, a student going through an exam or a PhD student doing a viva and freezing, not being able to defend their position for their PhD. And sexual experiences. um, which is interesting that they would. That's something that occupies students quite a bit, apparently. So, while dreams about school studying were most common among Chinese and German students, they didn't even make the top 3 among Canadian students. And this finding is mirrored in the result that dreams about failing exams were common in Chinese and German students, but not found among the top 10 list for Canadian students. And from all of this, we can conclude that while the process of dream interpretation varies across cultures, the idea that dreams are a tool of communication with divine beings or with our inner selves remains a common factor among all methods of dream interpretation. And although many current cultures still derive their dream interpretations from ancient practices and cultures and religious scripture, scientists are now picking up the notion about the significance of dreams and doing more research to find a more standardized approach to working with dreams and understanding them. And with that, I conclude my talk about the cultural and significance and religious and cultural significance of dreams. And I hope that that will cause you to look at dreams with a new light, and perhaps delve a bit more into your own culture and how your own culture perceives dreams. And if you'd like some help with that, please do get in contact. I love working with dreams, and I love opening the world of dreams to people to enrich their lives. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.